In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 types of movements that you need to be doing in your prenatal routine to help create space within your pelvis to make it easier for a baby to navigate and rotate through when it comes to birth. Welcome to the Mamas of Fit YouTube channel. My name is Gina. I'm a perinatal fitness trainer, birth doula, and the author of Training for Two, which is a book all about how you can use prenatal fitness to support a strong pregnancy, a pain-free pregnancy, and help you to prepare for birth. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the 4 movement patterns that you need to be doing to create space within your pelvis, because there's not just one movement that opens the entire pelvis. There are actually 3 different pelvic levels that all open with different types of movement patterns. The top of the pelvis is the pelvic inlet. This is where your baby's going to first enter or engage into the pelvis. This part of the pelvis is going to open more with external hip rotation on both sides. So both legs are moving outwards. Think of like deep squats or butterfly poses. This is going to help to create space from side to side in the top of the pelvis. In addition to your hip movement influencing your pelvic position, how we kind of orient our pelvis from front to back can help create space in the top of the pelvis as well. So in the top of the pelvis, when we find more of that anterior pelvic tilt, which means we're arching in the back a little bit more, it changes the pubic bone angle and also makes it easier for you to find more external hip rotation. So it could actually help you create more space from side to side. The opposite is going to be that posterior pelvic tilt, where we're tucking the butt underneath and rounding in the back. We have this junction here between the sacrum, which is this triangular bone back here, and your lumbar spine, also known as your lower spine or your lower back. When we have that posterior pelvic tilt, that junction moves backwards and it creates space front to back in the top of the pelvis. So the pelvic inlet is going to open more with that external hip rotation and that pelvic tilting from front to back. And so we want to be sure that we incorporate movements into our prenatal workout routine that emphasize that external hip rotation on both sides. The next pelvic level is the mid-pelvis, and this is the bony structure that your baby is going to be rotating through during labor and where they will probably spend the most amount of time. For the mid-pelvis, asymmetrical type movement patterns help to create space unevenly throughout the mid-pelvis to help your baby kind of wiggle and rock through. The upper half of the mid-pelvis opens more with external hip rotation on one side or more open hip positions. So if you think about like an elevated lunge or like a one-sided movement where the belly is away from the thigh, create space in the upper mid-pelvis. But on the bottom of the pelvis, we need more internal hip rotation towards one side. So asymmetrical closed hip positions or hip shifts to create space in the lower mid-pelvis to help your baby finish the rotation underneath the pubic bone. So 2 additional movements that we need to incorporate into our prenatal routine are one-sided external hip rotation or open hip positions on one side, and one-sided internal hip rotation or closed hip positions on one side. Now the bottom of the pelvis is known as the pelvic outlet, and this is where your baby's going to exit or leave the premise from your pelvis, and they're going to extend underneath that pubic bone. The bottom of the pelvis is going to open more with internal hip rotation on both sides. So knees in, ankles out is going to create that space from side to side, in addition to pelvic tilting from front to back. So similar to the top of the pelvis, but the orientation of the hips is going to be different, influencing the creation of space down there. So the 4th movement that you need to incorporate into your prenatal routine is bilateral internal hip rotation or internal hip rotation on both sides. So how do you do that? What movements are going to help you find bilateral external hip rotation, unilateral external hip rotation, unilateral internal hip rotation, and bilateral internal hip rotation? In our prenatal fitness programs, we break it down for you so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We offer our program in 2 main formats. We have our app-based program, which is a great self-paced option. It's a list of exercise with demo videos. And then we have our on-demand program, which is a full-length workout video that you follow and work out with at the same time. We already incorporate all 4 of those movement patterns and even more to help you stay strong throughout your pregnancy, pain-free, and also to help you prepare for birth. And so if you don't want to try to figure it out on your own, join our online fitness programs, and you can use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online programs. But let's break down 4 different movements that you can do that create space in each of the pelvic levels, incorporating the bilateral external and internal hip rotation and the unilateral internal and external hip rotation. So when we think about bilateral external hip rotation, this is primarily going to be like our squat type motions where the legs are moving outwards as we lower down. And so really any sort of squat movement is going to be really beneficial to helping us find more of that external hip rotation. We're thinking about what muscles help us pull into that position, which is primarily going to be our glutes. So squats are great movements, hip thrusts are great movements, even deadlifts can be great movements as well to incorporate into your prenatal routine. But we're thinking about both legs are finding more of that external hip rotation. When we think about one-sided external hip rotation, we're thinking about one-sided open hip positions. And so elevated lunges can be a great way to help create space in that upper mid pelvis, or even like a rotational step up. A rotational step up can be a great way to incorporate these open hip strengthening exercises. So I have my knee away from midline, belly is away from the thigh to find that open hip position, which is one-sided external hip rotation. From here, I'm going to rotate to face forward to extend and step up onto the box. And then I'm going to lower down to find that open hip position again. And so that's one way that we can incorporate the one-sided external hip rotation. And now when it comes to one-sided internal hip rotation, we can use hip shifts to help us shift into that hip to find more of that closed hip position. And so you can place one foot onto a yoga block. I'm going to shift my weight over towards that elevated hip, reaching across my body. So belly is moving more towards the thigh in that closed hip position. So weight is in that big toe, big knee is rotating in, and I'm bringing that belly to the thigh to feel this big stretch and kind of this glute pocket area here. And there's a variety of different types of hip shifts that you can do to help support your pregnancy, your birth, and your postpartum because they're super beneficial to creating space within your pelvis, improving pelvic mobility, improving pelvic floor function, and also releasing tension within our pelvic floor. So you can do standing hip shifts, there's all fours, walking, and we include a variety of them within our prenatal fitness programs. In addition to just finding an open hip position and a closed hip position, we can use our single leg movements to find more of that rotation as well. So when I step down to the bottom of my lunge, I'm going to reach forward to think belly to thigh. So I find my closed hip position here, creating more space in the lower mid pelvis. And then as I come up, I can find my more open hip position where belly is moving away from thigh to find my one-sided external hip rotation. So I'm lowering down to find belly to thigh. I'm standing up, belly away from thigh to find my closed to my open hip position to create space throughout the mid pelvis. And now when it comes to creating space in the bottom of the pelvis, we want to think about the muscles that help us to find more internal hip rotation, which is going to be our hamstrings or the back of our thighs and our inner thigh musculature. So deadlifts can be a great way for us to strengthen the hamstrings or any sort of hinge type motion to help us pull that pelvis into internal hip rotation. So really any sort of hinge type motion is going to help to strengthen the hamstrings, which helps you to create space in the bottom of the pelvis, and adductor strengthening exercises or exercises that target the inner thigh musculature, such as Copenhagen planks or even a side-lying hip abduction. And so that's just like a quick peek of different movements that you can do to help create space within your pelvis to help you prepare for birth. As we are preparing for birth, within our prenatal fitness programs, we need to incorporate bilateral external hip rotation, so both legs going outwards, in addition to that bilateral internal hip rotation where the knees are coming in and ankles are going out. That's going to help create space in the top of our pelvis and in the bottom of our pelvis. When it comes to the middle of the pelvis, we're looking for more of those asymmetrical type movements. So one leg is more externally rotated, the other is more internally rotated, and being able to shift from side to side to help our baby kind of wiggle and walk through. If you incorporate those 4 different types of movement patterns within your prenatal routine, you're doing a really good job to help prepare for birth. And again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have programs already established for you with our online prenatal fitness programs. Our online prenatal fitness programs are again offered in that app-based format and in that on-demand based format, depending on how you like your workouts to be delivered to you. If you do a one-time payment, you get lifetime access. You can use it for this pregnancy and for future ones as well. We love when we have our clients coming back to us repeatedly to do our programs over and over again. You can check out all of our fitness programs on our website at mamastayfit.com. And again, use that code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings. And you can bundle prenatal fitness with childbirth education so you have a better understanding of what labor positions create space within your pelvis, when to do those labor positions, comfort measures that you can incorporate into your birth so that it's a little bit easier for you to navigate through. You can bundle our childbirth education and prenatal fitness to save an additional 15% off, and all of the bundles are included on our website as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions on what movements that you should be doing to help support your pregnancy, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel because we have weekly workouts, tons of educational content. Follow us on Instagram where we post workouts there as well because we would love to support you throughout your pregnancy.